Let's just start with this real estate bill. What's your view? What will it do? I don't know if you've gone through it in detail now that it's been passed or earlier when the proposals were made, but what's your view?
So let me tell you the perspective from a person who has been part of a regulated industry for quite some time. Mutual fund industries is very highly regulated by SEBI. And if you've seen the amount of confidence that it infuses in the investors who put their money in mutual funds, I think that itself tells the story. Today, you have two sides to the real estate opportunity. You have one set of people who want to buy houses for their occupation, and there's another set of people who want to invest in houses. The second community actually has been under pressure for quite some time, ever since the new government has put some restrictions on the flow of black money. I think I heard you also mention about the concept of rolling in real estate. But look at the other segment, the genuine buyers of real estate. I think that community is the larger community, and that is actually the bedrock of the foundation on which the real estate industry can be built. I think that segment of the universe stands to benefit tremendously by the passage of this bill. And mind you, there is also a provision in this bill to safeguard the developer also, because all the entities who are going to be awarding the rights, licenses to development of a particular project also come under the purview of the regulator. Today we have seen many of the real estate projects have also got stuck into some sort of issue because the approvals have not come in time. So I feel that the fact that now you are going to have more transparency, forget about the initial hiccups that you might have with issues such as rolling and putting rolling money of the buyers from one project to the other. I think on a structural basis it is a very positive thing for the overall industry. And I think it was very rightly pointed out as to that given the misgivings from the developers lobby about the provisions of the bill, why is it the real estate stocks are rallying? Because I think this industry needs to be run by a better organized set of players and those who are willing to be regulated. I think that is the one which is telling the story. So I look at that as a strongly positive thing in the sector. Added to that is also the fact which I think we need to take cognizance of, that in this year we will have the 7th Pay Commission recommendation getting implemented. And with this recommendation, I think on an average about 23% hike is to be expected by the government servants. The first thing that a middle class family does when they see affordability is go for an EMI which earlier was not affordable to them. So I see here a tremendous opportunity both for good developers and more than good developers for housing finance companies.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Do you expect the GST, I mean, is the market now even focused on the GST bill? That it will get done this session, or
no,
it's somewhere there in the backdrop? Kabhi ho jayega, but no, not too focused that it has to run,
I think the market
has to get done now. Yeah.
No, I think the market has lost hope that the GST will get passed in this year. And I think that's from a market perspective is a good thing, because when you have no expectations and then you have some event happening, I think the markets normally get surprised on the positive side. On that count, I would say that okay, let's hope that the GST bill eventually gets passed. But even if that bill doesn't get passed immediately, the fact that the disenchantment with the NDA government stepped in, when with about 283 seats in the parliament, we found that they were not able to get any legislation passed through the parliament. From that, we came to a situation that we lost all hope in the ability of this government to get positive legislative processes cleared through the parliament. With the passage of the real estate bill yesterday, I think maybe that is the first beginning of the NDA's ability to come on the front foot and clear that logjam that we have seen on the legislative process. So I think that this is going to be a strong tailwind in the favor of the market, and this probably has come at a very opportune time, because if we rewind back to January and February, there were two sets of concerns that we had before us, the global concerns and the domestic concerns. I think the budget to a large extent has put the domestic concerns on the side. Therefore, if we have to deal with only one of the concern, which is global, I think that leaves fair amount of room for the market's trajectory on the upside.
Do you think the market's looking good now, Sanjay? Looking up, and not looking over the shoulder in the anticipation that another wave of selling will come and things like that? Think there's some degree of confidence which is back?
So, since we have retraced back so many times, that phrase that you used, looking over your shoulder, I think that is not going to go away quickly. But I feel that, if you look at it from a more near-term tactical perspective, one of the biggest weight that you have in the large cap index, and that is taken to be the barometer of the market direction, is from the banking and financial services sector. We saw that the AQR getting implemented by public sector banks came in parts by most of them, with one exception, which was Bank of Baroda. They put out all their NPAs in one shot. And you've seen how the market has rewarded this disclosure. So I guess in this quarter, the quarter ended March, most of the public sector banks, and I guess most of them, maybe without exception, would probably bring out all the dirty linen that they have in public. Once they do that, I think you will have a fair assessment about where is the real adjusted book value of these banks. And therefore, the valuation call on the public sector banks will be easier to take. Once you have that, and that is the largest sector today represented in the index, you will see the large cap index begin to rally. That, in my opinion, is a near-term event. I think, and there is an event which is coming after that, which is that after 2 years
banks, Sanjay, we're talking about PSU banks, right? Large cap index to rally, but it's only
Yes.
SBI and BOB. PNB exits the index anyway, right? I don't know what the total weight of SBI, PNB together is, but SBI, BOB is, right? But it's not that significant to cause a rally.
Yeah, but now have you seen the AQR taking a toll on some of the private sector banks also last quarter? ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, they also had to bear the brunt. So now there is at least a pragmatic assessment that the bad assets are not the unique privilege of only PSU banks. Private sector banks are also going to be affected by having some bad assets in their books. The proportion will be larger in the case of the PSU banks, relatively smaller in the case of private sector banks, but they are present in both the categories. So I am therefore a little more optimistic that once you have a more honest acknowledgement of the size of the problem, then you can do the second thing, which is to address how to solve it.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Do you own PSU banks now?
Yes, I do.
Right. I'm assuming the top one or two, right?
Yeah, so that...
What about ICICI Bank? I don't want to be
so,
specific.
Prashant,
But
I would like to stay away from...
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. No, I mean, the only reason I asked is because one keeps hearing about why you should, ICICI Bank is cheaper than BOB, and you should, it's got a better deposit franchise, and you should look at ICICI Bank, etc., etc. Anyway, let's move on. What other areas are you bullish on?
So I think, let's take first the broader call on what will be driving the markets from now onwards. I think, post the March quarter ended results, the next big event for the market would be the monsoon. By the way, I missed one important point that, this expectation of a rate cut will probably be met or not met on the 5th of April. So I think the market has some expectations around that. But beyond that, I think monsoon is a big event for the market. And that, in my opinion, will also be a fairly strong turning point in terms of the market sentiments. So I see that, between now and September, there are three factors which we need to keep in mind, which will be deciding the trajectory of the market. The onset and the spread distribution of monsoon. The second one would be the September quarter results. which if the monsoon is good and whatever the government has done in the infrastructure sector over the last 18-24 months would start getting reflected much more. So therefore, I would expect the September quarter results to be fairly better than what it has been in the past. And I think in the current situation where we stand, a double-digit quarterly growth of profits would be discounted very strongly by the market. Now, these two things, if they happen in a background when there are no global accidents, then I think, on a very lighter note, Prashant, the finance minister, when he read out the budget speech, he talked about the 9 principles of his budget. He said that his tax reforms have 9 tenets. So I'm saying that on a very light note, September is the 9th month. If you add the numerals of 2016, that is 9. The last level of the Nifty high was also 9,000 points. So why not? Probably, sometime around that time, we might revisit that previous peak of the Nifty.
All right, fair enough. Sanjay, it's good talking to you. But as they say, one is what you know and one is what you don't know. And it is important to be cognizant of what one doesn't know as well. Sanjay listed out very rightly the 3 big things to watch out for in the future. But as it many times happens, it's something completely different, which shakes things up one way or the other. But it's a pleasure, Sanjay. Thank you for your time. Good speaking with you.